This is a shit show. But every good shit show starts with a really good story. So this story is at the Vroom Passive House. And you see behind us, we have the house going up. And it's going well. But what we have right below me is, well, not so well. The homeowner bought this house with the pool in place, but the pool kept leaking water. We started this project and we excavated the area around the pool. And what we found was that the ground above the pool was wet, and it was wet all year long. And it was wet to the point where there was standing water of inches thick around the entire upper end of the pool. And we're sitting at the bottom of a fairly big hillside. And the problem is that that water was soaking into the ground, and even after we pumped out the water of the pool, it was coming up through the bottom and filling the pool. Most of the time, when you take a pool out and you're going to do work on the pool, you empty all the water out. But the problem is that if there's water in the ground and you don't punch a hole in the bottom of the pool to let that water come in, the pool is a boat and it will pop out of the ground. Now that's bad for pools because they're not designed to be boat. Now the problem is we did exactly that, but we kept getting water in the pool. And in the middle of August, and this is California, and in August it hasn't rained for 5 months. And we started seeing that when we did the demo of the pool, a lot of cracks in the pool. Not just the one big crack we were aware of, but actually like 12 different cracks. And those cracks had basically allowed the pool to collapse inward, which meant that the ground on both sides of the long edge of the pool were pushing in, collapsing the pool and causing the cracks. That meant that we had some pressure here, and that coincided with the same side of the pool that had all the water on it. So here's the problem. Nobody wanted to take responsibility for it. The structural engineer said, I need numbers from the geotechnical engineer. And the civil engineer said, I can't do anything until I have numbers from the geotechnical engineer. And the geotechnical engineer said, I don't want to do this. I don't do drainage. So we ended up having to find another geotechnical engineer. We went through 4 geotechnical engineers to somehow give us some guidance as to what we were going to do as far as getting rid of this water so that we didn't have to replace the entire pool. So what we ended up doing was we ended up cutting a trench around the uphill side of this pool. Now that trench was supposed to do several things. First of all, it was supposed to get rid of all the mud that we had against the pool and see where the water was coming from. Secondly, it was supposed to allow us to put a drainage channel around the pool on the uphill side of the pool so that we could divert the water away from the side of the pool and down the hill and into a catch basin. We excavated the side of the pool and found not only did we have a ton of fractured rock, but we had layers of mud in between the rock that was flowing out of the rock in a fluid manner. So the rock was literally separated, kind of like an avalanche is from the snow layers, with a layer of highly slippery mud that basically led the rock to fall down. What I'm sitting above right now is rock slides, like 6 different rock slides. And those rock slides are sitting in feet of water as the water continues to run out of this wall and into the channel around the pool. And all of the rock is so fractured that we literally have tree roots in between the rock that is pushing the rock apart, causing more and more fills, more and more avalanches, more and more rock falls, and it's backfilling this drainage channel. So what do we have here? This is a city in the peninsula of the Bay Area that is renowned for having water problems. And these water problems are typically in the lowlands of the city. But we're on a hill, and we're on a hill with a house below us. And this pool is massively underdesigned. First of all, there is no drainage channel around this pool. The water in the hillside was just sitting on the rock. And we know that the rock was putting force on the side of the pool because the rock has literally collapsed as soon as we took the structure away from the side of the pool. So we know that all this surcharge of water and rock was pushing this pool. And this pool was not designed. The pool is between 4 and 6 inches thick around the body of the pool. And it has rebar, a number 4 rebar. So that's a 1/2 inch rebar, 12 inches on center. A pool on a hillside that's supposed to deal with this kind of load should be twice as thick and have 4 times as much rebar. That's how you design this pool. So what are we left with? We're left with a pool that's not strong enough to deal with the forces that are around it. We're dealing with a hillside that continues to avalanche rock and water into the perimeter area around the pool. So how are we going to solve this? First of all, we have to take this drainage channel and fill it with concrete. Now this is a weak concrete that can be excavated later, but this concrete is going to be strong enough to support this hillside. Then we're going to take out this pool and we're going to put in a new pool, and it's going to be designed to withstand the load from the uphill side with all of the water and all of the rock pushing against it. Then we're going to have to take this retaining wall, which is the weakest retaining wall I've ever seen, and that it has no footing and no piers to hold it up. And we have to replace this entire retaining wall with drilled piers and a retaining wall that's actually designed to withstand the load of the hillside and the water above it. And only then can we actually use this beautiful pool area that overlooks the house and the adjoining neighborhood. How did this happen? Well, it happened by somebody not paying attention to the conditions of the soil around it, probably not even getting tests, building a standard pool for a flat land without water problems that was way under-engineered for the loads it had on it. And now this homeowner has to pay for all of these fixes on a system which really should never have been built here in the first place. It's certainly not the way it was built. What's the lesson here? The lesson is engineers are there to make sure that things are designed correctly. And over, people go, well, should I really hire that engineer, or should I hire that engineer that costs more than this other engineer? Absolutely. Engineering is not a place you save money on. Firstly, an engineer will design for the system and the soil conditions and the ground and the structures and the earthquakes that you have, and not over design it. A better engineer is going to do the calculations. A cheap engineer is going to use a bomb shelter mentality and build it overly strong and overly expensive. Secondly, get geotechnical engineering. Make sure you understand the conditions of your site. Make sure you're designing for those conditions. Make sure your civil engineer addresses the water drainage around your structure, around your pools. Make sure you're dissipating that water in a place that can't hurt the structure. Make sure that when you design a pool or an accessory building or even just a patio, you're paying attention to the engineering around it. There's a lot of ways to save money in construction. This is not an intelligent way to save money. This is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix, and there's no solution. And we still have a water problem underneath the crawl space in the front of the house, which means we're still having to deal with the water issues that weren't addressed in that project either. If you want to avoid a shit show like this, or even a shit show of your own making, please hire a good builder, hire a good engineer, hire a good architect. Don't go for the low ball. Don't go for the people who are going to do this. If you're interested in learning more about building science, hit subscribe as we show you how to build a better way.